Meb,
Hey, Nathan,
good to see you.
how are you?
I'm doing great. I've
Good.
been looking forward to this for a long time.
Well, appreciate your patience and looking forward to myself.
Yeah. Well, I've
Nice hat.
thank you. Came in the mail today. I ordered it
Yeah,
just in
good. I
time.
know. Got one right here for you, so I just don't want to
We'll
wear
match.
it.
Good. Well, 2026 I've kind of dubbed as my own year of the marathon because it's just a good number. But I do plan on running my first marathon this year. I ran for Malone College. I think you know Coach Hazen.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I've not been doing much since leaving college, so trying to get back into it now.
That'd be great. That'd be awesome. When were you there?
Well, I didn't graduate from Malone. I was there until 2006, and then I got married and took some time off school, and then went back to another
Did you
school.
ever make it to Mammoth?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
The sign behind me. I went
Oh,
back as an adult and sponsored one of the cabins for the team. So I
nice.
love Mammoth. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, I'd like to get this started.
Okay.
I've got a few notes. That's just kind of my style. Some people can carry a conversation pretty easily, but I feel like I need notes for me. But you ready?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. Let there be light. Correct.
One, two, three,
Yeah.
on.
So Meb Keflezighi, you're known as an American distance runner. You had an Olympic medal in Athens. You won the New York City Marathon, Boston Marathon. You immigrated to the U.S. as a boy from Eritrea with your family, and you've become an incredibly successful family. Something that Waylon Jennings calls "let them be lawyers and doctors and such." You're a husband to your Adonis, a father, a coach, American icon, but I think most consequentially, a Christian. So, would you say that is a fair introduction to Meb?
Well, God bless you, and thanks for the wonderful introduction. And yes, is as a believer, from one to another, is miracles happen through Jesus, and I feel my life has been just that.
Excellent. Um, I know you're a guy who loves the process and loves having your process before every workout. So before interviews, I have the same warm up. I'm going to ask you 15 questions. Just answer them as quickly as you can. Just quick feet questions. These are the 15 questions that are constantly asked of runners on the internet. So some of them are kind of silly.
Sounds good, but I'm a marathoner, so keep me on the track.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you did do the mile pretty well for a while, didn't you?
High school, and college. Yeah,
Yeah.
people don't know that I was a miler, but yeah, I was had the. This is all how all started. So
Yeah.
yeah,
All right. Number one. What shoes should I buy?
right there, New Balance. But whatever shoes that fits you is perfect for you. But I mean, but if you're looking for a market, New Balance is the way to go.
Okay. Why does my leg hurt right here?
The leg hurts because you're running miles. So at one point or another, if you're going a lot of miles, then you will feel a little pain. But no injury between injury and pain.
Okay. What watch should I get?
Well, smartwatch for sure. That has a GPS. I started without a smartwatch, but I didn't even know what the distance was. But having a GPS and smartwatch makes the life a lot easier.
Uh, how do I get my bowels to move before a big race?
Be nervous.
Where
I think for me, I'm very fortunate. The first thing I do in the morning is that, so I don't have to worry about it too much.
are you going to run this weekend?
This weekend, I'm in Tampa. Probably, I'm coming back from injury, so I'm going to try to run in Tampa. It's probably like a mile, 2, 3 miles is it right now because I'm coming back from injury.
Okay. How do I get faster?
You get faster by doing progressive run or intervals.
What is the best movie about running?
Ooh. Best movie about running, I have to go probably with Running Brave. Bill Mills is a great one. Running Brave, yeah.
Okay. True or false question: Strava or it didn't happen?
Strava. Oh, true.
True. How do you carry your phone when you run?
I carry it
In your hand?
in my hand, yeah.
Okay. Have you ever done a 5K marathon?
5K marathon times what? Times 10? No, I never done 5K marathons.
Does running hurt your knees?
No, running does not hurt your knees only if you don't stretch and you're not on soft surface.
Other than your book, best running book?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I'm gonna have to go Let Your Mind Wander. Dina Castor, who's been a great lady and teammate, so a lot of the stories there, so it's just pretty awesome.
Yeah, I read her book. Also, really appreciated it. And then I had a really great interview with her too. So maybe you could listen to one of those on the treadmill.
All right, will do.
What do you eat before a race?
What I eat before a race is if I could have my mom's homemade bread or Giordano's, my wife has made something simple. It's like Hawaiian bread with almond butter and honey.
Why don't you just sprint the whole time?
I try. If negative split is the best way to run 5K and up. That's what I try to do. But at the end of the day, my one tip is if you can run your fastest mile at the end, you'll do great.
Last question. Do you ever win?
Oh yeah, I have fortunate enough to win at the high school level, collegiate level, and professional level. So winning is, I train hard, but winning is not easy. But when you train hard and outsmart other people, think the winning will come.
Excellent. Well, before I start, I do want to encourage anybody who's listening to read 26 Marathons. This was mostly about your professional marathoning career, but then also Run to Overcome was about all the way from emigrating to becoming a professional runner. And then if you want to go on a deep dive, you've got Running to the Edge, Matthew Futterman's book about your coach, Bob Larson, and has some insight in there about you and Mammoth as well. So I'm going to go off of your subtitle of 26 Marathons. It's what I learned about faith, identity, and running and life from my marathon career. So I do want to start with faith, since that's the first thing you mentioned in there. You, especially at the end of Run to Overcome, you reference the verse 1 Corinthians 9:24-27. Do you mind if I read that?
Please do.
In a race, everyone runs, but only one person gets first prize. So run your race to win. To win the contest, you must deny yourself many things that would keep you from doing your best. An athlete goes to all this trouble just to win a blue ribbon or a silver cup, but we do it for a heavenly reward that never disappears. So I run straight to the goal with purpose in every step. I run to win.
Faith is such an integral part of my life since Eritrea, escaping and running kind of get the notoriety, but it was through my God-given talent that I was discovered when I was in 7th grade PE class to get an A and a t-shirt. But running in such a way that glorified him, I feel like my God-given talent has done that. A run to win, it doesn't necessarily mean to get first place, but getting the best out of yourself. And in that, you have Boston Marathon, New York City Marathon, Chicago Marathon, or many other marathons. So many people do for purpose and cause that initiate them to do something. And for me, it has always been to get the best out of myself. And even when I was didn't have a contract for 7 months in 2011, what got me back is that 7th grade God-given talent. Is it tapped out yet? Is it tapped out? And I knew it was not. And been in Mammoth where you have been, our train side, it was a little bit dark side to it, just like what's going to happen. Am I retiring? Am I done? But through faith and hope, a lot of things to be possible. And I really had probably another career since then, just kind of testing yourself why you're doing it for, purpose. And I wanted to make sure my God-given talent was maxed out, even though at times a lot of doors was closed to me
Hmm.
that were shut, and I had faith in all God's will. And my mom always thinks my mom always says, the person thinks it, God finishes it. So if you set a goal and time or ambition for yourself, and you pray, it might not happen next week, it might not happen next month, it might not happen on Olympic cycle, but it happens when on God's time.
Right. And Eritrea and the surrounding countries, Somalia and Ethiopia, they're not necessarily known as Christian countries. So how did you and how did your family come to a Christian faith?
you know, we were not, literacy is not high in Eritrea, but through faith, tradition, and religion passed on from parents, generation and generation. In Eritrea, which is a miracle, is 50% Muslim, 50% Christian,
Hmm.
and they get along really well. They got their
Wow.
mosque, we got the church, and they greet each other with respect. And I don't know, maybe it's because they were battling for war for 31 years. But I remember growing up, just first and foremost with my grandfather, my mom's village, Adebayani, which is in a skirt. Still this day they didn't have electricity and things. But my grandfather, I used to follow him to church, and I was baptized at an early age. And my mom and dad taught me to the, faith and hope. And God, my dad always says, God is always watching you 24/7.
Yeah.
So make sure you follow the rules and treat others with dignity and respect. And honestly, the Bible was not as much as we would like to hope to, because we were separated from my dad for 5 years when he was in Italy, Sudan and Italy. We were still in Eritrea, but just through faith. And my mom preached down on that a lot, and going to church at a young age every Sunday when we were in San Diego when we moved here. And I was at a boarding school in Italy when I first moved to Italy after Eritrea. So
Hmm.
that's with the sorellas, which means sisters, on a boarding school, and that's how I came introduced to Christ.
Wow. Um, Continuing on with the subtitle of your book and your identity, obviously you do have a lot of your identity in Christ and your Christian faith. Um, how, I mean, I read the description about you, but how would you introduce yourself if you're at an event or if you're talking to somebody that hasn't met you? How would you describe who you are?
As a 50-year-old now, I mean, most some of the audience know who I am when I'm speaking. The kind
Hmm.
of runner is what I'm known for. But Eritrean American who was born in Eritrea, and my dad or parents always said, "Don't forget your roots." Through a Christian, which I talked about earlier, that my God-given talent was discovered in seventh grade P class that maximized the potential to be something. I didn't even know what the word Olympic meant. I didn't even know running was a sport. But through the having faith, and then also through God-given talent, we all have different abilities, different talents, and kind of nurture that to the best that you can. And I've been very fortunate to have those people guide me, whether it's academic parents or a coach or parents, or to be the man that I am. And now, as known as, I guess when I introduce myself, is more like New York marathon champion, Boston marathon champion, Olympic silver medalist, and from seventh grade PE class to the first person to ever win all those Olympic medal and win the Boston and the New York City Marathon is how I usually introduce myself to the audience. And then after that, I am open to do question and answers to
Yeah.
ask how I got to that level.
Um, let's talk about running. Run to Overcome, 26 Marathons is your books. Um, to talk about running, we have to talk about Coach Larson.
Yeah.
And I sat down with him the last time I was in Mammoth and got to talk to him a little bit about you. He credits you for or your success for three things in particular, but one is being coachable, following through on advice. Like he would just like half mention, well, maybe you should roll out your quads. And then the very next day, he would see you rolling out your quads to stretch. So being coachable, following through on advice, and then just being a student of running. Um, and one of the other things that he said is that getting to the line healthy at 90% is better than not making it to the line. You've reached 100% of your fitness. So talk about Coach Larson. He met you as you were in high school and recruited you. Talk about how you went from a senior in high school to an Olympian with Coach Larson.
Coach Bob Larson and Eric Peterson, they drove down from Los Angeles to San Diego to recruit me with not many people, at the time, no YouTube was in existence, VHS video of UCLA, and they popped it into the, PCR player, and then the rest is history because I was sold. I always loved UCLA through sports, and academic that was shown on TV and football. And when I met Coach Larson, he probably was nervous how to pronounce Keflezighi the whole time, but he did good. He did good. And then, talked to my parents and then showed the video, Bill Walton, Jackie Robinson, Rayford Johnson, Troy Aikman, all those things that, Jackie Joyner Kersey, Flojo, and amazing people there. And then he didn't have to do much talking. That sold it. But I think it's kind of even served a bigger purpose because following me, my sister Bahagi and my brother Howie, who's my manager now, both followed to UCLA, even though I want them to go to different UC systems. But they were convinced that UCLA was the best choice for them as well. And Coach Larson credits that he didn't give me the scholarship to me, but he gave to the family because he saw how hard we were working, how obedient, and how, do the best that we can. He gave it to the scholarship to the Keflezighi family, and I've great weather, great academic, and amazing athletic department. I was sold, and it was one of the best things that happened to me. And one athletically, that one met Coach Bob Larson, and he kind of put me under his wing, and it was able to, it's not my way or the highway. How can we talk about nurturing that God-given talent? And he says, "What have you done? What's your mileage was? And let's do 10% increase, and then, gradually every year." And kind of, he had kind of to shelter me a little bit because I was not a high mileage guy either. And, but be impactful at the NCAA level. That was a goal. And, finishing 5th at the NCAA 5K was huge reward for me. And, he made the right choice for me because I was the first athlete they ever given a full scholarship to as a distance runner, because usually sprinters and throwers, they can double on different events, but he took a risk in me. And it was just, and then ever since we worked together, and we lasted more than most marriages. Coach Larson and I, a lot of respect for each other, and accomplished high at the NCAA level, but at the USA level, but also at the international level. So, yes, I pride myself of being a student of the sport, and also coachable, and then I take advice seriously and be able to just learn more and what I can do to do better. And, and he's been a great mentor ever since.
Because another UCLA guy is Atto Bolden. He's still announcing the Olympics in track and field every cycle of the Olympics. So he's another a guy from UCLA that Coach Larson coached him too, didn't he?
John Smith coached him, but he was there. Coach Larson was the head coach when he did a little recruiting, and John Gardina. So the best we finished was second NCAA as a team. Even though Otto Bolden, I think he flinched and he got disqualified in the 100, but he won the 200. I won the 5, the 10K. John Gardina won the shot put and discus. So, but we never really, at the same time. And then we were not all of us freshmen finished the senior was like overlapping by a year or so. But yeah, Otto Bolden does a great job commentating for NBC and the sports. And then also, John Gardina has been a great friend over the years. So yeah, I think Coach Larson, to his credit though, I remember he coached part of the high jump, pole vault, and a few other things. So he's a multitasker, Coach Larson, not just distance. He's done a lot of other sports as well.
Yeah, I think Coach Larson is known for the hand gestures and just like he says 2 or 3 words. Yeah, that's it. We're all done.
The Bob move, just slide that around with the palm of your hand just across. That's enough. When we would Coach, let me do some more. And he'd be like, Meb.
Well, Well, how does that transition work? Because growing up, I was so curious watching Olympics, and they each seemed to have their own coach. It wasn't like there was an Olympic coach for track, or there wasn't an Olympic coach every single cycle that was the same person, but each sprinter had their coach. And there were some famous examples of that. Like if somebody got hurt, the coach would help, huddle them over to the infield or something like that. But how does someone become an Olympic coach? Is that just because of the relationships that they've had in the past?
Well, part of it is, I think, be a part of the USATF, United States Track and Field, and then have some accomplishments, and then also, be a member, and so advocacy for it, and then they eventually, I guess, you put your name on the draw. But it's very hard,
Yeah.
But I was one of the reason my 2004 was such an successful and memorable experience was Coach Larson was one of the coach, and he went to Athens with Coach Jovijo. At one point, they kind of look at the course, and then Coach Bob Larson was the official coach of the experience. It's not like calling a coach, "Hey, I medal." He was witnessing and witnessing what was happening, and before and after, and during the race. I remember I saw him at 15K or so. I gave him thumbs up to let him know I'm feeling good, and so it was an experience of a lifetime, because sometimes you don't get those opportunities like you alluded to earlier. It could be somebody else coaching, like for the distance, been Vin Lavana and Coach Larson and Coach Jovijo and others that have done it. But at the same time, for me to have that time with Coach, I remember just visiting the course in Athens, and he says, we look at the course. He's like, "What do you think he could run?" I'm like, "Coach, I could run 212. And he's like, "Well, if you run 212, which we've been training in Mammoth Lakes for mountains," and then I didn't think it was a big hill in Athens, Greece. And so if you can run 212, you're going to medal. I'm like, "Well, I think I could run," and I ran 211.29. So his prediction was within. So,
Yeah.
and he was right. I did medal and got the silver medal home since 1976.
Yeah, I remember watching that, and that was when I was in college at the time. And I just remember seeing that for the first time because Coach Hazen had been telling us all about the Mammoth Project and everything that's been going on, because he was good friends with Coach V Hill. That was my one critique of your book, is that the guy who read the book didn't know how to say V Hill. He said Vigil.
Vigil, yeah.
Yeah.
Run to overcome, yeah, I
Yeah.
remember that.
But yeah, so I really got involved with following your career, following Dina's career, just because of Coach Hazen's relationship with Coach V Hill. So that was really special to watch you and Dina make the American medal stand again.
Nathan, thanks for that. But I think we might not get the credit that is deserving, maybe sometimes, because you know, the Hanson's group, but there was not many running clubs that it is today. But people since Frank Schroeder, 76, or John Bonnet in 1984, no Americans has medal on the marathon. But which Coach Jovi Hill and Bob Larson and the town of Mammoth Lakes got together and say, "Hey, we need to do something about this." And that goal was set in 2001. 3 years later, we came home with 2 medals, and it wasn't Kenya, wasn't Ethiopia, wasn't Italy or other countries. It was Mammoth Lakes. Dina and I lived about a mile away from each other, and what a special moment it was. And it was the vision of Coach Jovijo and Coach Larson and the town, and also Dina Casser and myself, been willing to be coachable, been able to follow and sacrifice a lot to be able to make those happen. But ever since then, I think U.S. didn't start believing, hey, if they can go through high school NCAAs and still win medals, I think. And then after that, the barrier was broken, and many people have done. And now U.S. distance running is at its probably peak right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I just saw Molly Seidel did her first ultra marathon and beat the course record, and I forget what other record she broke in her first attempt, but that was kind of cool to see too. Because did she win Boston, Molly Seidel?
No, she was a bronze medal in the Olympics,
Okay.
and then Desi Linden won the Boston Marathon, and then Shalane Flanagan won the New York in 2017.
Okay. Yeah. That next generation's exciting. Um, Talked about Coach Joe Vigil a little bit, and you got to know him during that Mammoth project. And he passed away just last year. So what do you remember about Coach Vigil?
Man, that's, may he rest in peace. Coach Joviho was a great mentor. You know, yes, Coach Larson was my coach, but also this as the science part of it, he was above and beyond, and he got to know my parents really well. Joviho was a great man, and what I remember about him is he will go in a battle for you. He's just tough guy, but he demand the best out of yourself, and that's an easy athlete can control. And whether you want to be national or international caliber athlete, you got to be able to work hard, work smart, and then execute good plan on race day. So Dina Kasser, which was coached by Joe Vigil, and myself by Coach Larson, we were together in Mammoth Lakes, and the races we go to, whether I go first and win, and then Dina comes and win, or vice versa, Dina wins and then I come the next race, I win. It was a magical moment, and Coach Vigil was just, son, he always called his son, how you doing today? How you feeling today? And he would say, use the 9 inch above the shoulder,
Yeah,
and you got to be the thinking, and how he was into details. And I mean, we would be, my 123, 125 pounds, or Dina's weights, and we would be on the highway. You would have the scale out and weigh to see how much sweat we lost. He was that much into it, and he was not a runner. He comes from boxing background, but he knew the details and physiology like nobody else.
yeah. And he was a large part of the reason that USATF education was a big thing for track and field. The marathon trials he invited to the U.S. Like he's a legendary guy. And I'm trying to remember. I'm
You know,
looking at my shelf for his book, Chasing Excellence.
Chasing excellence, road to the top, and was a
Yeah,
little too much for me. But
yeah,
him and Coach Jovijo, Coach Bob Larson, Randy Wilbur from the USOC were integral of why we got the medals, and David Martin also from used to live in Atlanta. Dr. David Martin, got us together, and myself, Culpepper, Dan Brown, Dina, and others who made the Olympic team in 2004 to say, hey, this is what you need to do to execute this, because it's going to be hot, hilly, and humid. And we had a seminar in San Diego, the Olympic Training Center. And, the coaches were there who were, integral to be able to just say, what can we do to help them get the highest level? And, it was fun. It was a journey that,
yeah,
look back photos, they look back on memory lane, is like, oh, that was special time. And may he rest in peace, Coach Jovi Hill, and Dr. David Martin as well, but others like Coach Bob Larson or Randy Wilbur and others who were integral part of to say, hey, we want to help bring back the U.S. distance run, and they had a vision and we executed, and then
hmm
what a wonderful time it was.
We started talking about Athens, and that was kind of a special homecoming in a way for you because Athens was home for a little while during your journey from Eritrea to the U.S. But Athens also is where you had a dog bite and all sorts of
Forgot
other
about that.
troubles, heat. So tell me about Athens.
Oh, now that I had, it was like not in my hair about the story that I saying, but then I said the dog bite, the dog attack.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, first, to meet my dad after 5 years of distance or separations, he met us there. We flew from Ethiopia to Athens, and he met us there from Italy. And I was off the plane. First time flying the plane, like, we didn't even
Uh-huh.
speak the language. We didn't even know if there was a bathroom or on the plane. We didn't know anything really. And I'm going by the window. I'm like, I'm going to fall off this thing. I can't lean too much. So I was nervous. So been part of that. And then meeting my dad, I remember once we got off the plane, I ran to him and I'm like, Baba, and then gave him a hug. And he mistaken me for my younger brother, Howie, by 4 years young. And then I thought, no, it's not Howie, it's Meb. And then he just a tear. So that was the memory. And then now take it, I don't know, since 86 to 2004, as a grown man and visualizing yourself. This is where my dad, this is where the Olympics started, been a student of the sport. And you get, I had the choice to make the 10K run or the marathon, but I chose to do the marathon because of the history behind what the Olympics started, what the marathon original course. So which was only my fourth marathon ever to run the Athens Olympics. And that time, like a week before was, I think Alan Culpepper and Terrence Mahan was with me, and Marla Rania's husband was with me. We're just doing last long run, like an hour and a half or an hour 40 minutes, and like I get anxiety with dogs. It's not I don't like dogs. I just don't want to be when I'm running. I don't mind petting them when they're with the owners, but when I'm running, it's a different thing. And come on, Meb, they're scared of the cows and ox and whatever. I'm not scared of that. I'm fine with this. I'm scared of the dogs. But they're like, no, they're the good ones. They are good ones. And then the dogs came from behind and basically came straight at us. And I'm like, sit. And then obviously we agree. He didn't understand what sit means. And I just fell. And then he went straight for my throat. And then I just fell back. And then they threw a rock. And I didn't get attacked. I didn't get bite, but I got attacked. And then I started trying to kick him to get away, and then I kept missing him, and tendonitis built in. And it was 10 days before, I believe. And then I can't go up and down the stairs. It was so painful, my knee. But the U.S. gave me and then it was right after 9/11. So we kept it in the hush because they're going to say, okay, because we were 9/11 happened, and now an American athlete gets attacked by a dog. That's going to be the headline. So they said, just kind of keep it. We did this. Keep under the DL, and so we didn't publicize it, obviously. And then I remember going to the race. I tell my brother Howie, because 9/11, none of my family came. I said, "Don't worry, if I drop out, it's because I have to have this incident." I only told him. I didn't tell anybody else in the family, and I was on Celebrex, pain medicine, and then during the race, once the gun goes off. It was hot, hilly, and humid. And I remember, gold was given to Paul Turgot, who was around 2:04:55. I was 2:10:03 was my PR. So I'm like 5 minutes behind. So I'm like, I have to compete against Paul Turgot. This is his time. I wasn't even thinking of that. I just want to win a medal, though. I wasn't going to be picky. But gold was, Paul Turgot was handed to him. And then during the race, I remember just slow. We don't make drastic moves. And eventually just kept moving and moving. And at 15K, like I said earlier, I gave thumbs up to coach. And then with 1 mile to go, I threw my hat. I was going to go for Stefano Boldini, but he was having a great day. I mean, even though I ran, I think like 4:31 or something, my last couple miles, he had enough gap. With 5K to go, he made a move. And then I didn't cover it. That was because of my nervousness of New York City Marathon when I hit the wall. And I'm like, Paul Turgot can be going through a bad phase, and now he can turn it on, and I might be out of the medal contention. So I'm like, you know what? You go ahead, and I'm going to see if I can hold on for silver or bronze. And then 1 mile got through my hat, and then try to go for him, but he was too good. And on that day, he was spent. He was done at the end of the race. He couldn't get back up, but I could not complain bringing home a silver medal since 1976 and be the first American in 28 years which was my goal, and of course Joe Vigil, Dina, and then of course Bob Larson. So what a beautiful moment it was to, the dog attack and then overcome that, and then to be in the special place where I met my dad after 5 years. It was my parents and siblings, and to be able to just celebrate what the iconic Olympic dream. Because in the United States, I did that in Sydney, but I made a goal for myself before leaving the Sydney stadium, that I want to win a medal for our country. And then when I made that goal, it was more in the 10K and then the marathon. But then to be in Athens, where all started, and win a medal was pretty special.
And there's all sorts of Olympic moments that NBC will cover, but I don't think there's such a quintessential Olympic moment as a boy from Eritrea racing as an American citizen, speaking Italian to a competitor in Athens. It's such a multicultural Olympic moment. Because what did you said, like 2 to go? What was the words that you said?
In India, because the Lima was from Brazil ahead of us. So let's get andiamo uno a due, which is let's go 1-2. I
Okay.
mean, just catch them, and that's all. And in hindsight, I should have my move right then. Just go.
Yeah.
It would have been a shock to him. He just like, how's this guy,
Yeah.
you know, speaking Italian to me? But I didn't in hindsight. But we try to go, and then yeah, and I didn't. Unfortunately for me, once I got to the finish line, they kind of tagged me to the media instead of like doing a victory lap. But that's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Well, you've had a couple of victory laps since then, so nothing too
Yeah.
much to complain about. Um, can we talk about running as a profession?
Yeah. I mean,
Oh, well, I got a
I
couple
was
specific questions.
okay. Go ahead.
Because Howie, your brother, is your manager now, and
Yeah.
I have always wondered: is there such a thing as a perfect running sponsor agreement? Because I've read other people's books. I've read Kara Goucher's book. I read Des Linden's book, and you either like accept less money up front and get more prize money, or you accept more money up front and then have all these sorts of pitfalls where if you don't place, or if you don't do enough races, or if you get pregnant and you can't do certain things and you still lose a bunch of money because these contracts have so many um, caveats in them. Is there such a thing as a perfect contract, or is that just a pipe dream?
No, I mean, I think there is contract and athlete talk, and sometimes there's some of us had really bad reduction clause, make an Olympic team or be top four, and others will just won't have a reduction clause. So it's like sometimes it's not how fast you are, it's how marketable you are, and the way that says also it's not how much you know, it's who you know.
Mm-hmm.
And if you know somebody at the top, I'm pretty sure you're taken care of per se. And I don't think there's been some. I can't speak for the females, but on the male side, there've been some that taken care of really well with high contract and not having a lot of reduction clause like I did. Which I am also grateful. Obviously, I was a Nike athlete for 12 years, and then started with 1 year with Skechers, and they did not have reduction clause for me. As an athlete, I badly want to win.
Right.
Is that what the company wants? Number one at the finish line, saying, "Hey, our guy is number one." But I think reduction clause is, if you can maybe have when you get out of college, maybe it's good to have it. But when you have been established yourself as a medalist and as a New York Marathon champion, and there should be a little bit of a mercy rule or grace period or something that says, "Hey, you have been represent our company." And Skechers got rid of that reduction clause for me, and I blossomed because I knew I had that peace of mind. And obviously now as an ambassador for New Balance, running profession, as you said, I never thought I would make a living doing what I do. I was ready to go to, possibly be a doctor or go to UCLA like my brothers and sisters. But at the end of the day, my God-given talent was there, and I had this vision of being an ambassador for the sport of running. Ever since 2004, I became a silver medalist. I proposed that to Nike, didn't happen. And then Skechers were a little bit of an ambassador for a while, also without the reduction clause, and then thankful for New Balance for giving me the opportunity, the vision, just like you want to be a medalist at the Olympic Games. And I had this vision, especially when I wrote the book Around to Overcome with Dick Patrick. We talked about that. I mean, like Bill Rogers, who's one of the role models that I look up to beyond running, who done a great job for the sport and helping people be the best version of themselves. And I wanted to be that person down the road. And I tried with all the other two companies, but I'm grateful for New Balance for giving me this opportunity to be. But my business relationship, and I've been very fortunate to work with Howie a little over 21 years ago now, just 2005. Most people they thought I hired him because he was my brother, but he was getting a law degree from UCLA, and he's more than qualified. And at the time, maybe people are like, "Oh, he's his brother," but I think his business and his work ethic and the collaboration that he has done with many other companies speaks volume now, as he has 50 plus athlete that he represents and his agency.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. In one of the things that you mentioned with the reduction clause is that it may not allow you to be the best that you can be. Because I forget which race it was where you basically had to make up your mind: do I go 100% and possibly go past that and wreck myself, or do I stay at third and get my contract bonus, right?
Yeah, it was New York City Marathon. I think it was probably 2003, and also 2000. I think 2000 also 2005, and then maybe I think another time. But yeah, I mean, it's a peace of mind to say, hey, you know what, we got your back, go for it, you know. And then so what if you finish fourth? This gives you confidence that you are able to keep up with the best, or you finish fourth, you know, you gave it all, versus like, you know what, you guys go ahead, I'm gonna
Yeah,
look around and try to secure this, because you
you got
have
to
a
get a
growing
paycheck.
family. Yeah. And you know, I lost my train of thought, but I was also thinking that, you know, it is important to know, you know, like for me, for example, part of my contract was whether I will top four or win cross country. And I remember I went solely to do the cross country championship in 2009, so I can get that out of my pocket, so I can focus on the marathon. And once I did that, I mean, I was free. I didn't. They're not going to do anything to me because I already meet that category. But I was. It was close, and it was. I was not probably ready for the cross country race. But I have to think. Okay, I can't. I have to get this one. Take a risk in that versus I train for that race and
Right.
be able to hopefully escalate my talents and peak at the right time. But it was worth it for me. And then at that, when I won the national cross country championship, I had the peace of mind. I said, okay, now I can
Yeah.
concentrate, go for a win in New York or run London Marathon with peace of mind.
Um, I've got, I don't know if you can see it back here, but I've got a picture of the Thunderbirds. It's the Air Force
Oh,
uh, airplanes. They do all the acrobatic tricks and stuff like that. But
the
one,
flyover stuff.
yeah, exactly. Um,
That's awesome.
the one of the things that they do as pilots is they visualize everything. So they're sitting in office chairs and they're visualizing their routine. So their eyes are closed, their hands are moving exactly where the controls are in the plane, except they're in an office chair, and they're even moving their shoulders and moving where, you know, where the plane would be at the same time. And I thought of you when I was watching a documentary about the Thunderbirds and the Blue Angels. It's because you are probably one of the people that Coach Hazen talked about the most as far as visualizing. But it was kind of a blessing and a curse too, because one, visualizing yourself after, you know, after you won the cross country championship, you can visualize yourself having the race of a lifetime in New York City. But then also you, I forget which race it was, but you also visualized yourself to exhaustion, because by the time you got to the start line, you had run the race three times in your head and didn't do very well that day.
Yeah, hopefully I'll go in chronicle order, but the race that I visualized all night and how I'm going to come across the finish line was 1996 NCAA 5K. I was fifth, like I said earlier, at the top freshman, which I beat Adam Goucher for the first time, I think it was, in the 5K. And I'm like, okay, this is it. Now, how am I going to come around? I'm returning, the top returnee, and I said I'm all night visualizing. I was sweating
Yeah.
literally the whole thing. And then come race day, I was flat as a pancake. But then I talked to the great Steve Scott. Steve Scott was a miler who used to hold the American mile record before Alan Webb, I believe, and 346 something. And he said, I was at a running camp in Catalina Island. I says, hey, Steve, Ruth Wysocki, another female, great, phenomenal lady was there. So we were doing a question and answer. How do you keep that? It's like, well, Meb, you need to visualize a month out or 2-3 weeks out. The night before, you just need to relax and have whatever you need to do is done in 2 weeks. You don't.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do the night before. And then I started visualizing that. And now as a coach, I tell that my athlete, I'm like, I was telling somebody yesterday, it's like, hey, visualize the last 10. You're going to run 30 miles this weekend. Visualize as the last 13 miles of the Tokyo Marathon that you're getting ready for. And I remember, like you said, the acrobat of your poster, before 2014 Boston Marathon, I was at the church closing my eyes, just visualizing the race. Ryan Hall and I talked about it numerous times, how the race is going to be like the Tour de France. It's going to be so close. After the bombing, people are going to come out and support. But, you asked me a question. Sometimes, can you sprint the whole way? I said, if I could, I would, kind of thing. But, you can't. So how do you hold the composure? And you need to visualize that yourself also. People are going to come out. They're going to cheer. Do you make a move at mile 6 or mile 10 or 15 or 17? But you have that in your head, but then you also have to react on the race day, on moment when the gun goes off. It's like, okay, I visualize it's going to come to Boylston. I had a dream that. Now, 5 miles there, Kenyans and Ethiopians not trying to slow down. I'm like, my goal is to win top 3 or run a personal best. Go for it. So you have to make quick decision, like what Jovi has to say, the 9 inch above the shoulder. You have to be in the moment, make those decisions. It was the craziest move, but the best result eventually. 99% of the time, that person would have gotten caught. But I was fortunate enough not to get caught, and it was risky. But something internally that told me to do that. And I had the victim's name on my bib to draw inspiration. So I'm thinking about the Martins, Crystal, Sean, and Lindsay. Just go, just give me this, give me your energy. So you have to have this dialogue. And I did those visualization as well in Mammoth Lakes. When I just see deer, I'm like, imagine that's like, I would do this, the cross. It's like, God, give me the opportunity to rise to the occasion. Nobody's watching, no cameras there, but you having internal dialogue. And you see a car. Imagine a car passes you on the dirt road of Mammoth. Imagine that's the media one. Just follow for a while, even though they don't know who you are, and they might go zoom by you, or someone will say go slow, and then you follow them. So those things, and then on April 21st, 2014, it all came together. So visualization is huge, but don't do it the night before.
Right. Hay is in the barn at that point.
Hay in the barn, yeah.
So let's talk. You brought up Boston, so let's talk about that, and we can jump back to some of the other questions I had. You during the finish, I think you looked over your shoulder more than any runner I've ever seen in the last half mile.
Yes, and I'm all for about looking back. And people say you need to look back. It depends what you're looking for. If you are like looking back to say, oh, I'm going to get caught. But I look back ever since the 5K to go. And, I was measuring to say, okay, do I have enough gap or do I have enough gap? Is that because there's no turns when it comes to turn, you can look, okay, I'm doing good. This is point to point. And, we don't, and then there's Al Trasic, who was the announcer that like, he really turned around. And I did really turn around. But I mean, Boston was okay. Once I made to Boston, I know I had it. Because I made my finish line was right on Hartford before I left on Boston. That tangent, just take a right direct sprint as hard as you can, make the gap look bigger. And I knew when making a left on Boston, I crossed myself. I'm like, for sure, I knew it's always when it touches your chest, but at least saying, hey, if he was feeling good, he would be next to me. He must be hurting, and all those things that it goes to your mind. And once I chanted USA, it was a beautiful feeling to be able to come across and be the first American in 31 years and to have the victim's name, what the catastrophic moment was in 2013, and to make that at least expedite the healing of the city and the people. It was a joy to be able to just everybody on their feet taking a photo videos on chanting USA. It was that what we talked about earlier in the show, the faith. I remember there was one thing that was missing in my resume, and I really thought that slipped away, but it happens in God's time. Not that we want the catastrophic, heartless thing that happened in 2013. I was there. I missed about 5 minutes, but things happen for a reason. And for me to be at that in 2013, missed it by 5 minutes, and then Bonnie Ford asked me that evening, "Are you going to come back, or what is your mental status? Would you bring your family?" I said, I remember telling her, talk about visualization or setting goal. I said, Bonnie, I hope to be healthy enough to win it for the people. I said that on the day of the bombing. And, you say that, and then when you see Boston Strong or the B-Hat, when you're traveling, you think visualization. Oh, I want to do that. I want to do that. I want to do that. And then when the Red Sox won, Boston deserves that. And then they put on the trophy at the finish line. It's like, on Patriots Day, I want to do that for the runner. So you have this dialogue constantly with yourself or with people that are close to you. And and then it happens in God's time. I mean, I was not the fresh leg that I wasn't the fittest that I was for Boston, but Coach Larson and I always believed that I could run 207, 206, maybe 208 in that course. It's just a matter of time, but it was slipping away. But it happened. So still to this day, it still is my PR.
Yeah. I was looking at the list in the back of the book and realized that that was your PR. And as far as victory laps go and getting a nation behind you, if you didn't get a victory lap in Athens, or that was definitely it. It was getting the entire country behind you.
Yeah, absolutely. New York was special. Winning New York was very, very special for me, personally for me, because I didn't go to Beijing, try to defend my silver medal. To win that was pretty special. Going to David Letterman, all that stuff was on the show was great. But the whole nation, I mean, my good friends from Alabama, they said I had my 2 medals the night before, I believe, before the Boston Marathon. I had my silver medal, my New York Marathon. They prayed, may God keep everybody safe and sound, but we also pray that may Jack Burnett is his name. He prayed for us, and he said, may God give him the grace to win this medal, to complete the trifecta of the medals. And David Kahn, my friend from Alabama, says, if you do win tomorrow, you're going to be in the plaster of all the magazines and whatnot. So everybody knew the pedestal where it was on the line, but I mean, like I said, my goal was that, but it happens, in God's time, and I feel very fortunate to be able to pull the victory, not only for myself but for the city and for the sport of running, and to have the names victims stat and on my chest, which I wanted to write big, but I know sponsors get protective, and then it really hit home when the national anthem, to your point, when the national anthem, I just broke down, or when they said, you're 2014 Boston Marathon champion. You have that dream for ages. And when that happened, it hit me. I cried. And I saw Greg Myers, the previous winner, last American. And then when the national anthem played, I broke down.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was special.
Yeah, you weren't the only one who cried.
No, I was it.
I want you to respond to a quote, something that you said in your book, Run to Overcome. You said, at 33, I felt young again. Now that you're at 50, how does that quote sound?
I feel the aches and pains.
Yeah.
50, that's, age is just a number. Maybe I was playing with the psyche of the people's mind, but I definitely, when I was a professional athlete, I would do all the details, all the nitty gritty that make a big impact. But at 50 now, you feel it. You definitely feel it. It's just the new normal. How do I adjust to it? And don't compare yourself to your 33 or to 45, because this is the new normal. How do you adapt and still enjoy the sport?
Yeah. Do you know Dean Karnazes?
Yeah.
He's, I spoke to him in an interview. He's 62 now, but he's still running. Obviously, he's big on Athens and Greece in general because his family was originally from Athens. But I love to see people age well, because it's so easy to age poorly.
He's 62, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing, Dean. I did watch half of the interview that you did with him, so it was pretty cool on YouTube. It was pretty neat.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, he's one of those guys who, as a kid, he was on the cover of Runner's World. There were videos made about him, and it was just one of those. And then the thing that really got me was he was on Stan Lee's Superhuman television show, because he could run so far. But it's amazing how injury-free he has been. But probably because he does a lot of the same things that you do: roll out, chiropractics, cross-train, swim. Like he's earned his 62 years for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, I think for him to stay healthy and consistent, and as many miles that he's done, I think be wise, be smart, and train really well, and know your limits. And I'm not saying when you're 25, 27, but say, hey, you're not going to set a PR, but you're going to be healthy and do it for longevity of it. And he's doing an amazing job.
Yeah. Dina described the lifestyle of a marathoner, especially in marathon, as a Spartan lifestyle. Uh, One of the things I wish people could understand is if they just put like an average high schooler in every track race, just so that we could get some perspective as to just how insanely athletic these people are in the track. How would you describe the grind to people who watch you and watch how easy it seems for you? How would you describe the grind to help people understand just how much work goes into running a marathon, but then being a marathon champion?
Just what we discussed a few minutes ago, visualization. It's easy to say I visualize, but to do that on a monthly and weekly basis takes a lot of discipline and dedication. And the same thing goes with the marathon. You can say I'm a marathoner, but you gotta love the process, the journey to get in shape. You're not gonna be fit the whole 12 weeks, 8 weeks, or whatever, but the lifestyle that you want to have, even though we're not getting ready for a race, you should be running because it's a healthy thing for you. And for a marathoner, I think it's the grind that when the camera's not watching. I mean, all the 130 miles a week, all the ice bath, all the physical therapy, all the drills, all the weights. Yeah, my job as a marathoner was to make it as easy, as proficient as possible for people. But behind the cameras, when I'm running after a marathon, like I hate taking time off because when I start, it's necessary. But when I come back, I mean, going on Mammoth Lakes, 8-minute pace and stuff that hurts. You're like,
Yeah.
how was I going like 4:30, 4:40?
Yeah.
Now I took double the time, and I'm hurting. But that's the process. You got to trust the process of being fit, and it doesn't take long to come back. But I think it's important to realize that, hey, I think the mileage, the consistency, the hardest part always about marathoning is getting out the door, or accountability, meeting some people. Once you do that, it's the running part is the fun part.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends where you are. It helps when you're on the beautiful like Mammoth or San Diego, beautiful weather is incredible. But the weather sometimes I got to get it done early, otherwise it's going to get too hot. It's going to get humid. So you have to be in a rush to get it done. Versus somewhere else, it's like you look left, you look right, you look forward, you look back. The scenery is great. It's like, let me take where that trail goes and things like that. Without knowing it, you're going to be able to put more miles, and result, you would be like, oh my gosh, this is, it eases your mind. But it is always good to be able to put the work in, because at the end of the day, if you put in the work, you're going to do a fine marathon, no matter what level, the front of the pack, the middle of the pack, or the back of the pack. But you have to enjoy the process to say, okay, I'm not in shape, but here I got 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks. And the progress that you see with running weekly and monthly is encouraging, especially when you write it down.
You've mentioned coaching. You're coaching high school now, or are you doing more than just high school coaching?
I'm doing more than high school coach. I coach at my daughter's high school, Plant High School, cross country. And then I also do coaching online with Rundot. Data optimized training is rundot.org. So I coach about 8 athletes or so. And, I converse like we're doing right now for 30 minutes once a week for the program they subscribe. And then, so I have a lot of fun, to be able to help people get to that finish the marathon. Most of them are marathoners. They have done a marathon and they want to improve, and they hire me to help them with that.
That's awesome. I think Coach Larson said in the last few years that he was your coach, that he was mostly just there to affirm what you had come up with your own training plan, because you understood what you were supposed to be doing. So it's cool to hear that you're coaching marathoners as well.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I told Coach last. I was doing a dissertation on him. To be able to work under him for a long, long time is fun. It is great, and I can ask for a better mentor. And I at one point, I think probably 09, I dropped a map of the training program, what I want to do for New York. And then I gave it to Coach Larson when he was in Berlin for the World Championship. And then he's like, this looks good. He made one adjustment. But other than that, he said, this is good. So yeah, no, I think it's been fun to be able to learn under Coach Larson. Krista Alston was also a physiologist who I worked in the past. And then Coach Jovi Hill, Terrence Mahan. And others that, Ron Tab, and then also my high school coach, Ed Ramos. And, now how do you make it, I got what I want to get out of the sport. How do you help
Right.
others get that? And not everybody is, work this way, but, you kind of get to know them. Their strength might be endurance. Some of them, they hated those speed, but make it fun for them to help them be a little bit quicker so they can work on their weaknesses a little bit, or bring others, people who love speed, and then start making them do like long runs and tempos and things like that.
And how cool is it to be able to say that you got coached by Meb? That's a cool thing.
It's fun. I told you, I'll let you, but I had a guy come with his PR was 321, done a few marathons, maybe 3-4 marathons. And then after a year, he was running 257.
Wow.
So
is the goal for a lot.
He ran 303, 303.48, I believe. First time we worked together, and then after that, I thought he could break 3 hours, but it was a risk for me. And then if he goes harder like that, and then here 314, I wouldn't be satisfied with that. He ran 303, and then after that 357.48, I believe, or 47.
Cool. Well, I've got a few trivia questions for you.
Hot seat now.
See how well you know yourself. So the only time you skipped class at UCLA was with the nerdiest kid from the 90s.
Jaleel White, Steve Urkel.
Yeah, Jaleel White. Tell me that story.
We were Com 10, and there was step dancing they do for African American, and we had a mutual friend, to take notes for us, and says, let's just go and watch the step dance at the Brunt Walk, and it was fun. I mean, we done a couple studies together with him. He's funny in person, and but yeah, I grew up watching Time Matters, Steve Urkel. So it was, but yeah, no, you don't miss class. I had 8 a.m. class for 5 years. I'm crazy. People said, do you know you can take option? I'm like, but I have practice from 3 to 5, so I'll try to get everything in beforehand.
Yep. All right. You do have some trading cards with your likeness on them. How many different types of cards have you appeared on?
Trading cards?
Yeah, like football or baseball.
Yeah, I think they've been Popping is one, and I'm not sure what the other one is. 2 or 3, because I get.
If you include Sports Illustrated for kids, you're on 4.
Oh,
yeah.
All right. I get. I haven't got the Sports Illustrated, but I get the other ones from Germany, from Switzerland, and people say, "Can you sign this?" And when people go the effort to send me mail and put a self-addressed envelope in it, I have to sign it, and I have to weekly. People send me stuff to sign for them.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, though. It's a good problem to have, right?
No, it's an honor.
Because 3 of them you were running, but then in the upper deck one, you're throwing the first pitch at the Boston game.
That was pretty cool. That was really cool. Yeah, I was nervous as hell on that one too. But I'll add one story after that. The thing that hit me the moment I let you go, the hint that hit me was when I got a call from President Barack Obama.
Oh, yeah.
I understood the magnitude of how big of a deal that was to win the Boston Marathon the year after the bombing. He called me the day after the marathon.
That's pretty cool.
It was
you and the astronauts get calls from the president, right?
No, we've been I used to read about Bill Rogers, Frank Schroeder, or John Bonoy getting a call or a letter from student of the sport from presidents, and then to be able to get a call from the president of the United States was pretty special.
Yeah. Tell me where this quote is from. Is that the finish line or crime scene tape?
David Letterman, the Tonight Show.
Yeah, top 10, right?
Late show. Yeah, the Late Show, David Letterman. Yeah.
That was because you love New York, because you raced there 11 or 12 times, depending on where the trials was one year, right?
12 times. 12 times.
Of the 26 marathons you ran, 12 of them were in New York City.
50%, almost. I love New York. Yeah, it's a great city to visit, and I have a lot of friends, and I made a lot of, over the career. I did the 8K, 5K, and then the Healthy Kidney, and then half marathon, the year trials, and then the marathon. So it's been away from home where I compete, and the New York run's done me right over the years, even though I was on my lowest without sponsorships.
What elevation is Shady Rest Park sitting at?
Right behind you. I think that got to be like 7,850.
That's really close. It's like God's number. It's 7,777 feet.
Oh, sorry, sorry. Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
good guess though. Yeah, Shady Rest Park. That's where we would do all of our balance drills and
Yeah,
volleyball games.
that was
Um,
sweet.
one, let's you were the recipient of the Jesse Owens Award in 2014, or after you won in Boston. Do you remember who your co-recipient was on the women's side?
Ooh, nah, right now it's
Jenny
what's.
Simpson.
Oh, I don't
Yeah,
know. I didn't think of
she
that.
was more of a middle
Good
distance
distance,
runner.
distance came through that day.
Yeah. So
No,
the
I have that trophy. I mean, I have the Jesse Owens. You know, I read a lot about it. The Van Camps, my mentors, made me not made me, but they always encouraged me to write about Jesse Owens. So I was always student, you know, doing the 3 events and running against a horse and all that stuff that
yeah,
I learned. And to get that award, I always wanted to get other track and field athlete that award. And that didn't happen, but the Boston victory did it.
yeah. Well, it's pretty cool because I'm in Columbus, Ohio, so I see
Oh, well,
um,
he's good. Yeah,
his statue. He has a track named after him now. He has
oh,
a
nice.
poster on the indoor track, so he's a big deal around Columbus.
That's
Um,
awesome.
I appreciate your time. It's been about an hour, which is usually where I give people the escape route to get out of an interview. But it's been really nice talking to you.
Great to see you again. Thanks, Nathan, for having me, and keep up the great work.
Yeah, you too. Thanks again.